My fence blew over in a windstorm. Before I could fix it, my neighbor installed a new one 4 feet into my yard. I measured it right, he said. You're just being territorial. I didn't file a complaint. I filed something much worse. I live in Des Moines, Iowa, not far from where the suburbs start turning into open fields. The neighborhood's been quiet for as long as I've been here. I bought my house almost 10 years ago. Nothing fancy but solid. Fenced yard, old oak tree out back, small shed. It felt like mine. For most of that time, the house next door was owned by an older couple, Dawn and Marianne. They were quiet, polite. We'd chat while watering our lawns. When they moved out, I was a little nervous about who'd move in. That's when Darren showed up. Mid-40s, single, drove a black pickup with magnetic signs that said DC Renovations. Said he did high-end remodels. He introduced himself once. Stiff handshake, eyes that didn't really look at you. I tried to be friendly. He wasn't rude, just distant. Cold. The first few months were fine. Then the little things started. He had contractors at the house every other week. They blocked my driveway more than once. I asked politely more than once and got half-hearted apologies that didn't change anything. He sanded his deck with a power sander at 11 p.m. one Friday night. When I knocked and asked him to stop, he stared at me like I was interrupting something important. I still tried to keep the peace. I figured not everyone's neighborly. Maybe he'd settle down. Then came the windstorm in March. It was bad. Gusts over 70. Tree limbs were in the street, shingles from other houses scattered like paper. My old chain-link fence, it had been up for decades, didn't stand a chance. I came out the next morning and it looked like someone had rolled it up like a rug and tossed it down. I wasn't panicked. I figured I'd call someone that weekend, get some quotes, maybe even upgrade it. But Darren didn't wait. 2 days later, I came home from work and there it was, a brand new vinyl privacy fence, gleaming white, 8 feet tall. And it was not where my old fence had been. It was 4 feet into my yard. I measured 3 times. Walked the line from the back shed to the side gate. My stomach dropped. This wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. I knocked on his door. He opened it like he'd been expecting me. That fence is on my property, I said, holding a tape measure. He didn't even look. Just shrugged. I measured it right. It's 4 feet into my yard. He crossed his arms. You're being territorial. It's not that serious. That's what he said. You're being territorial. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I went home. That night I dug through my file cabinet and found the original property survey. Paid for by me when I bought the house. Clear boundary lines. I made copies. Next morning, I handed him one. He took it, didn't even read it, and handed it back. I stand by my measurements, he said. Then he closed the door. At that moment, I realized something. Darren didn't think I'd fight back. He thought I'd let it go. That I'd roll over, or maybe spend months going through courts while he got to enjoy the extra yard space. I didn't file a complaint. I started planning something else. Something worse. First thing I did was go quiet. No more knocking. No more conversations. I didn't even look his way. Let him think I gave up. Let him relax. While he was out during the day, I started gathering information. Pulled county records. Walked the perimeter with my surveyor friend from high school, who confirmed it. Darren's new fence was 4 feet inside my property, clear as day. I took pictures, marked the coordinates, time-stamped everything. Then I made a call to a friend of mine who works in real estate law. Asked her what my options were, not to sue, but to get strategic. She told me something interesting. Since Darren had altered the land without permission and the fence was on my side, technically, I could do whatever I wanted to it. So I waited. 2 weeks later, I started digging. Early one Saturday, I went out with a shovel and started trenching along the inside of the fence, my side. A perfect, neat line, right where his posts were buried. It took me hours, but by noon, I'd cleared enough to loosen 3 of his support posts. Then I stopped. Left it like that. Just slightly unstable. By Monday morning, 2 of the panels were leaning. Another week, they fell completely into his yard. He knocked on my door that night. "You sabotaged my fence?" he asked. I looked at him, calm. "It's on my land. You said you measured right." He stared at me. "I'll have it fixed." "Go ahead," I said. "Just make sure you're not on my property when you do." A week passed. Then another. The panels stayed down. His contractor didn't show. I found out later he'd fired the guy, something about late payments. Meanwhile, I filed a notice with the city. Not a complaint, but a public statement of intent to resurvey and reclaim property lines. That's when I found out about his plans. Darren wasn't just building a fence. He'd submitted a permit to add a concrete patio, one that extended into the section of yard he stole. That's why he wanted that extra space. It was about value. He wanted to make it look like his yard was bigger. I made another move. I called the city inspector. I showed him the survey, the photos, the permit Darren filed. Turns out, falsifying boundary lines on a permit is a serious violation. They froze his application immediately. That was when Darren snapped. He started leaving notes on my door. "You're ruining everything. This is harassment. You don't know who you're messing with." I didn't respond. Then one night I heard drilling. Around 1 a.m., I looked out and saw Darren in the dark, trying to reset the fence panels by himself, dragging them back upright. The next morning, I walked out and saw what he'd done. The new fence line was even deeper into my yard. This time, I didn't say a word. I just called the county assessor's office and the IRS. See, Darren runs his renovation business from home. That means any changes to the property that affect business deductions? Those need to be on legal land, within the correct boundaries. I sent them everything. Within a month, he had auditors on his doorstep. Not police. Not court. Auditors. He was furious. Screamed at me from his porch one afternoon. Said I was destroying his life. I said nothing. But it was far from over. Darren stopped speaking to me after the auditors came. He wouldn't look at me, wouldn't even step into his own backyard. For a few weeks, it was quiet. No new notes. No late-night noise. Just silence. Then, one afternoon, a for sale sign appeared in his front yard. I thought that was it. I thought maybe I'd won. But I was wrong. He wasn't moving, not yet. He was trying to sell the house as is, with the fence still 4 feet over the line. He listed it with pictures showing the extended backyard, the new privacy fence, and a ready-for-permit patio space. He was trying to pass the lie on to someone else. So I did something I didn't want to do, but knew I had to. I created a fake buyer profile and requested a viewing through his realtor. Got the tour. Walked the yard with the agent, asked about the fence. "Oh yeah," she said. "The owner expanded it just last spring. It's all been permitted." I didn't argue. I just asked her to send me the disclosures. She did, and they were full of false info. Claimed property improvements that didn't exist legally. Marked the boundary incorrectly. And that's when I made another call. Not to Darren, but to his realtor's broker. I sent them the real survey, my documented timeline, photos, even the city inspector's statement. I warned them, if they sold that house with a knowingly false boundary claim, the new buyer could sue for fraud, and I would testify. The listing vanished within 48 hours. No apology. No explanation. Just gone. That's when Darren showed up at my door again. It was night. He looked worn down. Thinner. Like someone who hadn't slept in weeks. "This is harassment," he said. His voice was hoarse. "You don't get to ruin my life over a fence." I looked him in the eye. "You ruined your own life when you stole from me and thought I wouldn't do anything." He laughed, bitter. "You're sick." Then he walked away. I watched him go back to his house and slam the door so hard, it rattled my windows. A week later, I got a letter from a lawyer. Darren was suing me for property damage, emotional distress, and loss of business. It would have been funny if it wasn't so twisted. But I didn't panic. I had something he didn't know about, something I'd been holding onto since the beginning. And it was the one thing that could finally shut him down for good. He dropped the lawsuit 2 days before court. No explanation, no settlement, just vanished like it never happened. The fence is still there, half leaning, half rotted, still 4 feet inside my yard. Some nights I stand by it with a beer and stare at the spot where the line used to be, the one I used to take for granted. I don't think about revenge anymore. I just think about how fast someone can cross a line you didn't even know you had, and how far you might go to make sure they never forget it.